Hi. I'm back. Like I said, I'm going to do a lot of videos with these same two clothes, so excuse me if you guys are like wanting me to change clothes. I'm probably gonna do like wardrobe videos as well. So, about me. I'm gonna write it down because I'm actually like doing it as I go along. And I'm gonna edit because I'm gonna edit the videos, and I'm doing it while I record because if not it would take too long. So excuse me. So I'm writing it down as I go along, and this is gonna be about me. What do I like? Okay, I love Jesus. As you can see, my hair is short, but one of the things that I really just can't get enough of is Jesus Christ. So, I am going to probably make this video about me and Jesus, my testimony, and how I came to Christ. Okay, so I have been a Christian since March 2016. Around the end of March 2016, and okay, so counting, if you do the math, March 2016, it's been about 4 years. It's gonna be about 4 years in March of 2020, this next year. So I've been a Christian for 3 years and a couple of months, more than a couple of months, but like let's just say 6. And the reason why I came to Jesus was because I was about to kill myself. I was going through a lot of depression. One of the things that I was going through was that I didn't work and I received a SSI check. I still kind of do because when you report wages, they take away your check, the amount of your check, so that it won't be a lot of overpayment. But I don't care. A lot of people do. I don't, because I lived all my life on a social welfare check, which right now, I wish I had a lot more money. But, yeah. I had lived for a whole bunch amount of time on a welfare check because of the decisions of my mother. Okay, my mother was my representative payee, and I didn't have a voice. One of the things that you'll find is when you have a representative payee, you have to, it's when you have a bad one that is like not good, you're going to have a lot of trouble, because if they decide to say at a doctor, or it's like being a guardian, and if you have a person that doesn't know how to, that doesn't have a check, like doesn't know how to be like good at being a good person. My mom is a good person, but she just has some problems. She does have her faults, but it's something that I've learned how to overcome through Jesus. So going back as to how I got to church, my life, it wasn't that bad, but it was still fairly a crappy childhood. My mom never did drugs. My mom, she never had alcohol. I grew up in a fairly good household financially, and like in the terms of growing up and not being too traumatized. Emotionally, yes, my childhood, my house, being with my mom, a single mom who, when money gets tight, anybody will start to get a little bit like, crazy. Because I wish I had music. I'm sorry for you guys if I don't have any background music. It's just that I am working with what I've got right now, and hopefully it will be enough to do these videos. But being at my childhood wasn't that good. I never went to Disney as a child. I went on our schools, our high schools, which, by the way, shout out to HML, Trojans, yeah, class of 2006. But my child, like, we went on our graduation for like when I graduated, but it still wasn't good enough because they left us in the part of Disney, and not having a lot of money, I didn't know that if I would have had the fast pass or whatever. But let's just move on. So I never went to Disney. I didn't have any friends. My mother would just isolate me a lot. My mom isolated me a lot as a kid. I don't have any childhood friends, and still to this day I have a hard time trusting people, because people when it comes to a certain age, when people get to a certain age, they do not they don't it's really hard to get into a friendship, because of the fact that it being a grown-up is not the same as being a child. So I still don't trust people, and people can backstab you at any moment. So I still don't trust people as much as I do Jesus. The only person I trust is Jesus. But so I was at a low point. My mother was very, 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 very I want to say strict, but it was just like at every turn that I tried to get my life better, because my mother, she taught me about being a responsible person, having a clean house, having clean clothes, doing your laundry, having good hygiene, having a good reputation in the fact of holding yourself in public. But one of the things that I think, hopefully I can get it all in this video and it won't be that long, is that my mom, she never wanted to be in this country. She came from Cuba. I was born here in 88. My mom came here in 84. But I was raised a la Cuban. My mom was not that fond of this country. She still isn't. And the decisions that she made in her life, it just took her where we were at the moment. She couldn't get over it. And I mean, when you can't get over stuff, eventually it's going to catch up with you and it's going to turn you. So my mom, she just got like amarga. She got very, very just cruel. So my mom was cruel in a way. And when my grandmother died, she just got depressed. And all of the anger, all of the resentment, and everything that she had inside, she just gave it, she just loaded it all up on me, and I got all of the blows. Before I keep going, I do not like being angry. I do not like being in a negative mood, and I most definitely don't like holding stuff against people. I tend to usually give people chances, and before I did. Now I've grown, I still do, but I have grown stronger in knowing that I'm always going to get recompensated by Jesus, by God. And even if people do steal from me, God is going to recompensate it. And I've learned, you can't be stupid. If you try and you get the same results, there's going to be a certain point where you have to stop that vicious cycle. So it's not a matter of of like giving a person a chance. It's a matter of knowing when those chances with that person run out. But I don't like being resentful. I don't like being, holding any sort of anger against anybody. And I am very, like, yes, sometimes I criticize, obviously. When somebody criticizes you, use it to your advantage, because they're telling you the faults that you're going through. It's just a matter of how you take it, how you take that criticism and work with it. If you let it turn you down, then obviously you need to work on sucking it up. But to keep going, because I'm kind of random and I don't want to get off of the topic right now, which is my testimony and how I came to Christ. I started to hate my mom. I don't like hate. As you can see that I said it before explaining it, I don't like hate. I don't like holding things against people that is going to hate eventually will consume you. And it will turn you into the person that you hate. So I've always known that. I've seen it, obviously, not just in movies, but in everything. Like, hate will consume you. Because it's a basic thing. Like, you just start to focus on the person or the thing that you hate, and you become it. So yeah, and when I started feeling that, which, by the way, the thing that sustained me through, before I found Jesus, was my television, which I do not watch television anymore. I'm probably going to do another video on it to not make this video too long. But, yeah. So when I started to hate my mom, and I started having thoughts about just killing, like, I didn't want to be with her anymore. And I did have very bad thoughts about just, like, because my mom, she would try to trigger me. And one of the things that I would do to, like, not scream or nothing, because obviously when you're against the sword in the wall, people tend to just either get adrenaline, run. It's either a flee or run. It's either like, oh, what's the word? It's, you either run from, you can either choose two options when you're going through a situation, a bad situation. It depends on what you're going to do. You can either confront it or you can either run from it and not have any problems with that person. Every situation is different. If you can't run all the time, but if a person that is making your life impossible doesn't want to confront the situation, they don't want to talk about it, it's better to just leave. That's where you run. So you don't run, but just don't make your life a living hell out of it, because if they're not going to understand, they're not going to understand. And my mom, it was the same way. She didn't want to talk about it. She always blamed me. She always blamed my diagnosis. It's another video. But because I was disabled as a child, but she really just didn't want to end or change. She didn't want that change in our lives that was ready. Like, when you're 18, you're your own person. It's not like when you're 5. But because she just wanted to have that power of being my mom, she didn't want to change. She thought that I was going to leave her, though I haven't. It wasn't like I was going to leave and move to another state. My mom is sick. My mom has arthritis, but I don't want to take away the focus from the testimony. And I am an only child, by the way. So I wasn't going to leave my mom. My mom has her faults, but I have never, ever, ever once thought about leaving my mom and moving to another state. We've had our problems. We have our differences, but I love my mom. And when I grew to hate her, which now it's not, but when I grew up to hate her, I just wanted to like die, because I would rather kill myself than kill my mom, which I knew it was going to happen. My mom has a lot of just things that if she would trigger me, and she would hurt me in saying that it was all me. Like when I would scream and stuff, she would hurt me, and she would, because all the like when I get angry, I get angry. And plus, with my diagnosis, all that she would have to say is that I had an episode, and being internalized, being in that hell was very, very just not like, I was already in hell in this house, which when you get admitted to the hospital, to the crazy house, it is even more chaotic and hellish. So I went through my options, and I decided to kill myself. I planned it out and everything. I I was gonna throw myself off a bridge just to say that, but I did want to go to God, because I knew that Jesus was a person and I believed in him, but I believed more in God. I was Santera. If y'all don't know, it's Afro-Cuban idol worship, not voodoo. There is voodoo, but I mean voodoo idol worship, which I've thrown them out. It was a process, and uh, I believed a lot in God. I thought from when I grew up, because I did it, my mom did it to me at 9, the whole thing. But since a child, that's what I was taught, that it was a form of worshiping God, and I believed more in God. So when I went to the church, since I knew that God lived in the church, lived in the church, and we're going to go back to these quotation marks. But at the time, I knew that God lived in the church, and that the church was God's. It didn't matter which one. It was just because, man, I knew that men get into their ways. Like, religion is man's doing, not God's. So I didn't care which one. I just wanted to go to one that, because I would walk a lot. I was fat. I was without any self-confidence. My self-esteem was low. My self-esteem was negative 300. And when I would walk to try and lose weight, and also I would walk to get away from my mom and try to come at another way to the situation that I was going through, because I never stopped trying to get out of my situation. I never lost the hope until I did. But I would walk and I would hear the songs from my church. The songs from my church. My church is awesome. And my pastor sings. When I heard the singing the first time, I heard it like 2 or 3 times, and I fell in love with it. But I had promised myself that when I lost the weight, I would go to the church, obviously to find myself a husband, and to get my life started, because I was stuck. That's what I used to say. I always used to say that I was stuck, and that I didn't have anybody to help me. So when I started going, like, we were on the top. The church, the altar was on the top, and we had a bottom stairs, but the church, the altar where we worshiped, was on the second flight of stairs. It was on the second level, on the second floor. So on the first day, I wanted to hear music. After hearing it the first time, and then I went, and because I wanted to hear it, because it was so beautiful. And then I went I went a little bit on the stairs. And then on the next Sunday, I went a little bit up. And then what I would do is I would run away before it ended. I would just run away. Nobody knew that I was fat. Nobody saw my condition that I was in. But on the third time, and this is where I just fell in love with Jesus, and I remember this like it was yesterday. On the third time, there was an usher, Osvaldo, Orlando. Hi. He's the one who actually was like, why don't you come? He came out. I guess he saw it on the monitors, and he came down and he said, why don't you just come? We're going to go into the word now. Because we were worshiping, and they were worshiping, and they were going into the word. Because after worship, after the music, comes the word. This is something that I'm going to make another video on. But after that, on that day, like literally, God gave me the best answer ever. Because after that day, after that word that I received, because God talked to me specifically for three services, 3 or more. He still talks, but in that moment, he talked specifically to me. And one of the things that happened was he told me everything. My pastor, without knowing me, told me everything that I had lived through, all of the lies that I had been fed as a child, thinking that worshiping idols was a form of worshiping God. It's not. The fact that me and my mom was a big source of the reason why I was still in the same level that I was at 18, being 26, because I'm 31 right now. And like, I fell in love that very first moment, and I knew that that was where I had to be. First of all, because when I was little, my mom, she has this story about me where when I was little, she says that when I was little, I told her, and I kept on telling her until I stopped, obviously, that I had to go to church. Mommy, I had to go to church. And I remembered that story. My mom hasn't said it ever since. Hopefully she will again. But after that day, and excuse my, because I just saw it, that it's like a little bit de eso. But after that day, I fell in love, and I knew that when that was a church that when I was little I had to go to. Now, obviously you guys know the story. After, when you meet Jesus, when you accept Jesus, and when you have God in your life, your story changes, and that's what happened to me as well. After I met Jesus, after I received him as Lord and Savior, after 3 years and some change of being with him and having that relationship, because remember, y'all, it's a relationship, it's not a religion. But because I'm gonna end this video really soon, but I am very, 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 like, what Jesus did for me, and as well as the people that were there at the beginning, which are still there now. Obviously my pastors, that same usher that I told you about, and a lot of congregation members that are still there. They can be able to tell you that from the way that I got there till now has been totally different. I have changed different. My self-esteem is through the roof. My hate towards my mom has diminished. It's not there. I don't have any hate towards my mom anymore because I was able to forgive her through Jesus Christ. Before I understood why, but with the help of Jesus Christ, I was able to forgive my mom. And I still forgive her every day. There's some stuff, but for another video. But that is my testimony. Like, I've got in a car before I was walking, before my car, before Jesus, I was walking a lot, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a purpose in life, which all three of those things that I've just had that I didn't have, that I just said that I didn't have, God has supplied it to me, and He's given me, first of all, a purpose in being able to worship and being able to be a soldier in Christ. Second of all, having a job to be able to sustain myself and being able to obviously dance, because my ministry, I dance. That was my calling. Well, my first calling is to pray, obviously, which is one of the things that we must do, and that, you shouldn't stop praying ever. There's another video on it. Like, don't be cray cray, but there's another video on it. And my second, my reward for praying is, as I say, because you have to have incentive. And one of the things that I have as an incentive is dance. So I dance. In our church, we dance. And we learn about the word, obviously, which is more important than dancing. But, yeah. And I found my purpose. I have a job, and my job through Jesus Christ that He got for me at my store at Publix. Let me get a little bit of water. Okay, so my job that God was able to give to me through my obedience and stuff at Publix has been able to get me my car. And yeah, I love it. It's a 2014 Nissan Juke. Right now, I want to do a video on my car, but I have to get it fixed because I crashed it. That's another video, because when you commit errors, you need to get, accept it, suck it up, basically, and just ask God to help you in, it's another video. But yeah, I crashed it. It was my fault. Yeah, my life has changed. Even though I've committed errors recently, this is what a Christian life is about. You're going to have the good, you're going to have the bad, you're going to have difficult times, you're going to commit errors. And one of the most beautiful things that we have in Jesus is that He will forgive us and He will guide us. We have to let ourselves be guided and walk in obedience. He gives us all the chances that we need. Like, seriously, Jesus loves us. Jesus loves you. And I hope that this testimony has been able to help somebody. Hopefully y'all have understood. Write it in the comments. Subscribe. Hopefully this has been a good video for y'all to watch. I am going to stop now, and I'm going to do another one. I think I might just change my clothes. But yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Have a blessed day. Jesus loves you. And yeah, bye.